I reviewed 6 popular nameplate add-ons for World of Warcraft. I wanted a good way to compare them, so I scored them based on their features, author support, customization, testing, and setup. My focus in this video is to compare the add-ons, and not necessarily to walk you through how to use each one. However, I will be releasing more detailed guides in the coming weeks, and then I'll put the links to those in the description when I do. The 6 add-ons I compared included ElvUI, KUI nameplates, NeatPlates, Plater, Tidyplates, and ThreatPlates. To be clear, ElvUI is not a nameplate add-on. It's a complete UI replacement that overrides the default nameplate. So if you decide to use ElvUI, you can use it just for nameplates by disabling other pieces, or you can use it for your full UI. The remaining 5 add-ons are exclusively for nameplates. For this video, I compared the add-ons in the retail version of the game. However, if you're playing Burning Crusade Classic, you can still use any of these add-ons except for Tidyplates. I started my comparison by looking at what features are shared across all of the add-ons. The most obvious shared feature is the ability to adjust the size and appearance of the nameplates. If you want smaller health bars, you can easily adjust the width and height. You can also change the color of the plates based on whether the target is friendly or an enemy, and based on your threat. The second major shared feature, and one of the most helpful, is displaying % health remaining on the nameplate. For players looking to do raids or dungeons, this is vital because it allows you to anticipate phase and mechanic changes in a fight. The next shared feature is what many of the add-ons call automation or visibility. This allows you to decide when you want your nameplates to show. You can set an add-on up to show nameplates only when you're in combat, or you can remove nameplates entirely for things like totems or pets. Spotlighting is the next shared feature. With spotlighting, your nameplates will glow when you hover over a nameplate. This makes it easier to select a particular mob from a group. It will also cause the nameplate for your target to appear brighter than the other nameplates. This may be a simple feature, but it's really nice to have, and I'm surprised that the default nameplates don't do this. In addition to spotlighting, the add-ons show resources like combo points or Death Knight runes on your target's nameplate. This is something you can do on the default frames as well, but it's good to know that that functionality isn't lost with the add-ons. The add-ons also maintain a few other default features like showing buffs and debuffs above the frame and cast bars below enemy health. Okay, so the last shared feature I wanted to mention is quest indicators. The Blizzard nameplates let you turn the name of mobs off if they aren't required for a quest, but these add-ons take it a step further. KUI, ThreatPlates, and ElvUI add an icon next to quest mobs. In Plater, you can change the color of the frame for NPCs that are part of quest objectives. You can also download an additional mod to add an icon if you want that as well. Tidyplates and NeatPlates add additional text under the mob name to indicate quest requirements. However, Tidyplates was bugging out for me, and the quest text was being covered by the mob name. When I clicked Force Headline while out of combat in settings, it worked. Otherwise, all I saw was the name and the health bar. With the shared features out of the way, let's now take a look at a few unique features in the add-ons. I'm going to go through these pretty quick and only hit on a few major features, but I will go into more detail in future guides for each add-on. So let's start out with KUI. KUI will change the color of the nameplates when you can begin using execute abilities on an enemy. For tanks, you can also enable a tank mode and set colors based on your threat levels and whether the other tank has aggro. KUI also has nameplate clamping built in. This means that you can set it up to keep the bars from going off the screen, which is particularly helpful for large enemies or weird camera angles. I know that you can do this with a little bit of coding, but I like that KUI has it built in. I also like that you can add arrow indicators to the side of your target's nameplate. KUI also works with boss mod add-ons like Bigwigs and Deadly Boss mods. It will actually integrate and allow the boss mods to highlight important adds or spellcasts. ElvUI has several of the same features like clamping, boss mod integration, low health indicators, and bar coloring for tanks. It also allows you to set arrows on your target and gives you a huge list of styles to choose from. Overall, KUI and ElvUI are nearly identical in the features that they offer. Tidyplates has fewer features and does not have things like built-in clamping or execute window indicators. However, it does allow for dynamic nameplate coloring for tanking. Tidyplates also comes with 4 themes built in. This allows you to change the overall look of the nameplates without having to manually tweak a bunch of sliders. There are additional themes you can install, but all the ones I found hadn't been updated in a few years. That doesn't mean they won't work, but you may want to use them at your own risk. NeatPlates is a spin-off of Tidyplates, and as such, it has many of the same features. However, it does add a few additional features like more themes, built-in clamping, target arrows, and custom color conditions for things like executes. Instead of 4 themes, you can now select from 12. You can also get into the settings for each theme and customize them further. One of my favorite features though in NeatPlates is pandemic window highlighting. If you aren't familiar with pandemic windows, it's a concept that applies to dot and hot abilities. Essentially, if an overtime ability has less than 30% of its original duration left, you can cast the ability again to add the remaining time. It's a little confusing at first, but think of it this way. As a druid, if I cast Moonfire, it lasts for 16 seconds. When it has 30% of that time left, or about 5 seconds, I can cast it again, and now my Moonfire will last for 21 seconds, which is the remaining 5 seconds plus another 16. This gives me more time to cast other abilities and maximize damage. With NeatPlates, you can set it up to make your dots glow when they've entered the pandemic window, which I think is really, really cool. Let's take a look at Threat Plates now. Threat Plates has many of the features of the other add-ons like boss mod integration, target arrows, and dynamic tanking plate colors. Threat Plates lives up to its name and also gives you an amazing amount of control over the display of threat levels on nameplates. You can also change the appearance of nameplates for each shaman totem separately and set up custom nameplates from scratch. There are several other widget features that allow you to control the way that Threat Plates works, but I'm not going to go into those now. I will cover them though in my later detailed guide. So the last nameplate add-on I looked at for features was Plater. This add-on has so many features and customizations that it has a search tab in its settings. It also allows you to load custom scripts and mods from other players, so the number of features is nearly endless. The main place where people share Plater scripts is on wago.io. There are hundreds of Plater scripts and profiles that do everything from adding quest icons to changing bar colors for dangerous abilities that need interrupted. For this reason, I gave Plater a full 10 points for features. Threat Plates received a 9, ElvUI, KUI, and NeatPlates received an 8, and Tidyplates came in at 6. The second factor I considered was author support. More specifically, I wanted to know if they were up to date and if the authors responded to community bug reports and feature requests. In providing these scores, I don't want anyone to take this as me bashing on that add-on or author. These add-ons are created as a service to the community, and while we're out playing the game, they're busy trying to keep their add-ons up to date and add new features. Okay, so I found that all of the add-ons except KUI were up to date at the time of making this video. Obviously, this could change by the time I publish, so you may want to check for yourself. Looking at a longer time frame gives a better idea of how frequently the add-ons receive updates. Overall, most of the add-ons had received dozens of updates in the past year. In regards to forum activity and responding to the community, all of the authors were fairly active. For scores, I gave ElvUI, NeatPlates, Plater, and Threat Plates a 10. Tidyplates received a 9, and KUI received a 7 because it received fewer updates in the last year and is currently out of date. The next factor I reviewed was customization. To help you compare the add-ons, I graphed them on this curve. The farther to the top right an add-on falls, the more customization it offers. If I put the default nameplates on the curve, I would put it about right here because the level of customization is super low. Tidyplates, on the other hand, has a good amount of customization. It's far better than the default nameplates, but still falls short of the other add-ons. The next step up is ElvUI, KUI, and NeatPlates. After that comes Threat Plates, followed by Plater, which is really the granddaddy of customization. So based on this curve, I gave Plater a 10, Threat Plates 9, ElvUI, KUI, and NeatPlates all received an 8, and Tidyplates received a 7. For testing, I used each of the add-ons with their default settings as I did Mythic Plus, Daily Quests, and Torghast runs. Based on the default settings alone, I liked the look and function of KUI and Threat Plates the best. That's just my opinion, and I know many of you will have a different preference, especially if you've made changes to the default settings. In addition to using the add-ons though, I wanted to see how lightweight each one was. To be accurate, I turned off all other add-ons, including all non-nameplate features in ElvUI. What I found was that KUI was actually the most lightweight, Plater and ElvUI were the heaviest of the add-ons, and they both consumed a lot more CPU than KUI, Tidyplates, Threat Plates, and NeatPlates combined. But how much does that really matter? For many players, you won't really need to worry about how lightweight these add-ons are. However, if you're playing on an older computer or find that your frame rates are dropping while playing, it may be worth trying an add-on that uses less CPU. From these basic tests, I gave KUI a score of 10, Tidyplates and Threat Plates a 9, NeatPlates and Plater an 8, and ElvUI a 7. Setup is the last factor I looked at. I wanted to know how easy it was for someone new to the add-on to get started. All of these add-ons can be installed and updated through an add-on manager like WoW, which makes that part of the setup pretty easy. Once you're in the game, the add-ons should all work out of the box, but some require more setup to get the most out of them. If you are new to Nameplate add-ons, Tidyplates and NeatPlates provide the most user-friendly starting point. Their menus are easy to navigate, and changing styles with themes is straightforward. Setting up KUI and threat plates is also pretty straightforward as well. On the other hand, setting Plater up to leverage its features is much more difficult and intimidating. Plater does say that it's for hardcore gamers at the top of the window after all. Fortunately, you can get some help with setting up Plater by downloading other players' profiles. I would say a similar thing about setting up ElvUI for the first time. It's pretty intimidating, but again, you can find profiles to help. Based on all of this, I gave Tidyplates and NeatPlates a score of 10, KUI and threat plates a 9, ElvUI a 7, and Plater a 6. If you plan on using the add-ons the way they come out of the box, you could disregard the setup score entirely. But if you're looking to set up some advanced nameplates, be prepared to do some work with Plater or ElvUI. Alright, so with every factor scored and reviewed, it's time to add it all up. According to the fact score, the overall winner and best nameplate add-on with a score of 46 was threat plates. It was closely followed by Plater and NeatPlates, which both posted a score of 44. KUI scored a 43, followed by Tidyplates and ElvUI at 41 and 40 respectively. Threat plates came out on top due to its balance across each category. It is lightweight, easy to set up, and has a robust set of features included. If you're using these scores to choose an add-on to try, I would think about what's most important to you. If you want the most powerful features and customization, you would want to choose Plater. If you're looking for something that's pretty easy to manage, Tidyplates or NeatPlates might be more your speed. If you're already using ElvUI for the rest of your UI, it might make sense to stick with it for your nameplates also. Before you click away, let me know what add-ons you want to see reviewed next in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.